Hey peoples! First I'd like to start by apologizing for the bad lighting in this video. If it is indeed bad, it's evening and I usually like to film during the day when I get natural light, so deal with it. So as you probably gathered by reading the title of this video, we are going to talk about Iron Man 3 because I went to go see it yesterday and I had thoughts and I just felt like sort of vlogging about it, finding out what you guys thought, that kind of thing. Iron Man is my favorite of the superheroes that are like popular right now, and I really like superhero movies. I don't know why, because they don't often have a lot of depth and they are usually very cheesy. I sort of go for two kinds of movies: the really deep, soul-wrenching, awesome, amazing movie of coolness, or something with a lot of explosions and yeah, the explosions. So I don't read any of the comics though, so you guys are gonna have to forgive my comic book ignorance. I'm not a comic person. But I do like the movies, and a lot of people I know are saying that the superheroes now and their popularity are sort of like the new Greek myths, the new mythology. And I agree, they really have a lot of the elements of even of fairy tales, not the fairy tales that we think of now with all of the princesses and flowers and happiness and bunnies, but the sort of fairy tales as they used to be with lots of explosions, which they did have, and death, and children being eaten. Yeah, so I think that our superhero movies really are the myths of today. And Iron Man is one of my favorites, possibly because he is a genius asshole. Tony Stark is a genius asshole, which you know I love if you watched my cliches I like more than the other ones video. And he's also really just badass, and he's Robert Downey Jr., who is sexy. So, I'm just going to talk about what I liked, what I didn't like about the movie. It's probably going to be spoilerific, possibly even spoiler-tastic, so you might, if you haven't seen the movie yet and spoilers bother you, shoot. If you have seen the movie or spoilers don't bother you, welcome! But for right now, I will give you a second to leave. Click somewhere else. Okay? You're gone? Everybody that needs to be gone is gone? Good. I like to give people time to leave if they want to, and just suddenly start breaking out with every spoiler ever. Okay. With my handy cheat sheet, as I always have, let's talk about what I liked about Iron Man 3. In no particular order, either, because, yeah. So, one thing that I thought they did really well in Iron Man 3 was the humanization of Tony. Tony is a really tough character, and he has been a little bit, like, sort of not human in most of his other movies. He's humanized a little bit in the Avengers, but Tony is always sort of a larger-than-life person, somebody who could maybe not exist in the real world because he's just, like, too good at everything. And you love him because he snarks and quips and stuff like crazy, but he doesn't seem very human. This movie actually gave him human elements, and I loved he had like a PTSD thing where he has panic attacks, and those are amazing. Robert Downey Jr. did so well acting them, I kind of wonder if he has panic attacks himself. Like, they were very convincing. I was like, oh no, honey! See, they triggered my maternal instinct, and that's hard to do. So, that was very good. I really like the humanization of Tony, and really bringing him very low, because every story has to have a low point for the hero to rise from, and they sank Tony so low, and you were like, wow, shit, son, he's messed up now. So that was really good, much better than what they tried to do in Iron Man 2, which we will not speak of. I love that they acknowledged the Avengers movie. That was awesome. I mean, they kind of wouldn't have had to, like, we all know it's there, we all know it's in the canon, but they wouldn't have had to acknowledge it, and part of Tony's PTSD directly comes from the Avengers movie, which is awesome. Continuity, guys. Cool. The Pepper-Tony relationship is great, and I really love the empowerment of Pepper in this one, which sounds weird when you say it out loud, but they really empowered her character. Pepper has always been one of my favorite female characters in these movies. I don't know what she's like in the comics, like I said, but I like her because she is just allowed to be brainy. She's really smart, she's really in control, but she doesn't have to be a physical badass. In this one, she got to be a little bit more of a physical badass, and yeah, I am kind of drawn to that. I think women should be able to fight. The strongest moment for her, though, I think, was near the beginning. Again, I said spoilers, so you all knew this was coming. Near the beginning, their house gets blown up, and Tony throws the armor onto her, and then he's in trouble, and she just throws herself over him and protects him from the falling rubble. And I know she's wearing the suit, but it really feels like that was just her first instinct. She would have done that whether or not she was wearing the suit. And I was like, wow, that's Pepper, that's good. That's good empowerment of her character right there, so good job, movie. Alright, so those are the things that I really liked, and I did like a lot of this movie, a majority of it. Those are just like some things that I honed in on and really liked. One thing that made me go, huh? Is a lot of people point out to me, because I like Iron Man the best, that he's like Batman, only not as cool. And I'm like, well, sort of. Because Batman... See, it's not really expressed in the movies, but I know because I have some friends who are really into Batman. An element of Batman is that he is like a detective. He's everything that Tony is, plus he's a genius in discovering stuff, sniffing out clues, that kind of thing. And Tony really, I was like, in this one, Tony was being Batman. It was really weird. Like, it was, this whole movie felt like maybe it was almost a Batman movie, because it was darker. They brought the main character to a real low place, and he did some of the investigating stuff. It was like that was all that was missing from Tony's character, and bam, now he's Batman in a red suit with rockets and sexier than Batman. What? Did I say that out loud? Hey, everybody has their taste, okay? Batman fans, don't murder me, please. Okay, so you're all waiting for it because it's kind of boring to listen to people talk about what they liked. Let's talk about what I didn't like about Iron Man 3. And there were a couple things that I still love the movie. I still think it's one of the best superhero movies out right now, besides the Avengers, which is the best. But it's definitely in the top like 3 in my opinion. But what were some things that bugged me? A big thing that bothered me is they go really far, like I said, to tear down Tony, the further down he sank, the higher the stakes went, and I was like, shit, this is really like, And then, at the end, it was all completely like, I felt cheated, it felt like a lie, because, you know, in the beginning, Tony's house is destroyed and all of his suits except one prototype are destroyed, and oh man, oh Tony, how are you gonna come back from this? And then at the end, turns out they were all just like in a secret bunker down underneath and they were fine, and he could just call them up and remote control, use them to fight the bad guys. And I was like, what? But you destroyed them, movie. I was kind of mad about that. I was like, well, you just negated how far you made Tony sink by destroying all of his work. Most of his work was still there. What? What? I also kept having very frequent, why didn't you do that earlier moments. I understand why he didn't do some stuff earlier. I mean, he lost his connection with Jarvis for a while. He had, you know, maybe he only had one shot with I forget, it was a gadget that he made, because he's also MacGyver in this movie. He made a gadget and he only used it once, and maybe it could only be used once. But I feel that if I have to start rationalizing to myself why he didn't use something earlier, then you're not doing it quite right, movie. Like, the audience should understand why he didn't call up all of the other suits way earlier. Like, as soon as he got reconnected with Jarvis again, why didn't he call up all those other suits? It just, like, I'm sure there's probably a reason if we rationalize it, but the movie didn't tell us, and I have a real problem with that. If I have to really, like, reach and search around and figure out why he didn't use stuff earlier, I understand. I mean, it was still fun as hell to watch all those suits kick the shit out of bad guys, but it was weird. I missed the snark. I mean, Tony was snarky, but he was not nearly at his championship snark level, and that's one of the things I love about the Genius Asshole, is they are so damn snarky, and I missed that a little bit. He was, but he was not nearly as much as in the other movies, and that made me a little sad inside. Oh, what are my big problems? The kid. Now don't get me wrong, the child actor did an excellent job. The actor was fine, I just hated the character. I have a fundamental loathing for children characters in like these superhero movies and stuff. Because the superhero is in a low place, they're at the point of the hero's fall, you know, where they have to rise up from, and they meet a lowly person of some kind, and that lowly average Joe person kind of acts as the audience, like the audience through characters, so that there's a better word for that, but then the audience can just like be in the movie through that character, and what is weaker than a kid who will then help Tony rise up. And then I just hate it. It just felt so cliched. I was like, oh fuck, now he's gonna talk to this kid and he's gonna find himself through this little shit that I don't care about. Go away, kid. And always the character that they run into is never like a big fan of theirs. I really wanted the kid to be like, fuck Iron Man, and just like lose his shit like everyone else did every time they saw Tony. But the kid didn't. And also, his parents never appeared. That really bothered me. Like, I understand that the kid's dad was gone, but where the fuck was his mom? I wanted to meet her. Why can't the mom of the kid ever be the one that helps out the superhero? You know, it's like, where's she? Just this kid we're supposed to believe is just by himself always, and his mom is okay with that he's just like running around helping Tony, and bothered me. That's just kind of me. I don't like the kid characters in these things. They bother me a lot. Kind of along the lines of, why didn't you do that earlier? Where the fuck was Colonel James Rhodes through most of this movie? Eventually they showed us that he was like in Afghanistan or something, but when Tony was hit and possibly dead, why wasn't James looking for him? Like, you'd think that that was what he would do instantly. Would be like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm the Iron Patriot now, but I'm gonna go find my best friend, so peace out. I don't know, it just struck me as odd. I understand that he was helping look for the main bad guy and everything, but we didn't get to see nearly enough of him, so I just felt like, where is he? Where is he? Especially when Tony's house was actually being attacked. I kept expecting, you know, him to come flying out of there and help, but he didn't ever. I was really weirded out by that. I was a little sad because there was less Iron Man in this Iron Man movie. I do like the suit. It's awesome. It's shiny. It's red. What more do you need? I understood why there was less Iron Man, but I missed him. And the one thing that made me, like, I loved this movie pretty well through and through, except, you know, there were a couple problems that I had, but I can forgive them. But something that made me very deeply sad for no good reason was at the end with the removal of the arc reactor from Tony's chest. That made me really sad. I mean, maybe, is that in the comics, guys? Help me out. Is that in the comics? Does he get that removed? I liked that thing. I mean, I know all of the fans are sitting here going, Tony, why don't you just get that removed? Why is that still in your chest, dude? You've got all the money in the world. But I liked it. I liked that he always had like a light right here, you know, protecting his heart. A piece of him was connected to the suit. He puts a suit on and that glows through. You know, and it could be seen through any shirt he was wearing. So it made me really sad. It was almost like they were taking out like a fundamental piece of him, and I was just really sad about that. I hated that. That I flat out hated. Other than the kid, that's the thing I hated most. And I wish they hadn't done it, even though it makes a lot more sense, and it was probably in the comics, but I still wish they hadn't done it because, yeah, I don't know, it's just a part of him, and they removed it, and that made me really sad. So those are my thoughts on Iron Man 3. In no particular order and kind of long and rambly. That's cool, right? So, if you haven't gone to see the movie yet, you definitely should, especially if you like superhero movies. If you have gone to see the movie, leave comments, link me to a video, your video review of it. That's awesome. I always like to get comments, and I frankly don't get very many, so I'm lonely, so you should comment. Okay, I'll stop doing that. being manipulative, but you should comment because I actually do want to hear what you have to say about the movie. And check out this video that I made a long time ago that I will link you in the description, point to my crotch, which is Iron Man. It's about Iron Man. It's to the song Iron Man, and it actually turned out really good, and not nearly enough people are watching it. So, check it out, yo! Peace out, peoples!